Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. The time is 9:04 a.m. This is a special meeting of our elected officials. I am officially calling the meeting to order. Attending physically are Commissioners Duncan and Filios. Joining us by phone is Commissioner Bill Brooks. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, our one and only item is the Governor's Rebound Guidelines and Continuity of Operations Timelines. As everybody knows, the Governor last week issued the phased-in return to normalcy, if you want to call it that, which is a multi-phase procedure which begins April 30th or May 1st. And so that's what we're here to discuss and to see how we individually as elected officials plan to do that and implement his orders. So who would like to lead us off? Nobody? Anybody want to share your plans? We've gotten some plans from our individual departments. Anybody else want to chip in? Phase one?
Joe, can you remind us, I know you spoke up last time, can you just remind us again of what your phase-in approach for driver's license?
Driver's license will be opening queue list for appointments and running 4 appointments every 15-minute walk. Meeting customers at the door to identify that they have an appointment, and then letting them in, processing the paperwork, moving forward. Some of the counties are prioritizing new title processing over re-registrations. Our staff has stayed up quite well with mailing internet renewals. There's still a little bit of a backlog, I'm sure, out there with the public, but we're just going to do everything we can to take care of everything we can in the season. And there will also be the influx of recreational vehicles. Parks and Recreation system has been down the past 2 weeks for a migration to a new system, and so there's a backlog of that. The public has experienced, so those types of recreational licenses or credentials, there'll be a bump with that, but that just comes with this time of year as well.
Okay, and are you starting May 4th? When are you starting?
Yes, May 4th.
So how does that differ, Joe, from what you're doing today?
What we're doing today is just processing mail and internet renewals. We don't have appointments going on with people coming into the office. We have updated our office environment to have the sneeze screens, the acrylic panels to help protect both the public and the employees behind the screens. So Buildings and Grounds is provided for that, and both in the Post Falls location and the Coeur d'Alene location.
So today you're handling registration simply by mail?
Mail and internet renewals.
Okay. Mail and internet, okay. Treasurer, Steve, any change for you folks?
No, we are taking appointments, meeting with the public on their demand. We are willing and able to open the desk as soon as the building is open. Most of my staff have been given the option to work half days from home and half days in the office. Most have chosen to work full days or nearly full days in the office. We will be sending out a reminder notice in the next 10 days, 14 days for the June collection. And as we've spoken to in the past, hoping to utilize half this conference room for that collection. I think we're in good shape. We're looking forward to the stay-at-home order being lifted. And I guess I would turn the question back to you guys. Do you have any thoughts regarding the opening of the building?
Bill, did you hear the question? Bill?
No, I can't really hear. The audio is very, very low.
Okay. If you're in the first few rows, try using the mic. In the back, you've got another mic there, I think, which might pick you up, but, okay, go ahead, Leslie.
The question is, when are we thinking about opening the doors to admin? And I think Friday is fine, and then start to publish it as of Monday. My understanding from Under Sheriff Matheson is we will have a deputy back at second floor starting Monday.
Yeah. Bill, any thoughts?
No, I think that's very reasonable.
Okay, and you're basing that on what, Leslie?
Basing what on what?
Opening the building on Friday?
Just because the stay-at-home order has been lifted and we're starting to get back to normal operations.
Okay. Now, he's lifted the stay-at-home order, but he still wants us to practice social distancing.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm fine with that. So I guess that answers your question.
Is that
Jennifer,
Monday,
please.
Monday, you said, not Friday?
Correct.
Because we would like to get back with the recorder's office. We are still taking appointments and having, we need to still provide marriage licenses and then passports. But we're debating on the Saturday date when the building was going to open, so I'll discuss that with the recorder manager.
Okay.
We then need a deputy on Saturday again.
As long as you're speaking, Jen, how's it going in elections?
It's actually going really well. So as we had a skeleton crew at district court. We brought a lot of people over from there and county assistants when they were a little bit slower. So they've been a huge help in assisting in entering absentee applications and also getting those absentee batches out. We're going forward with the plan of what we're going to do actually on May 19th. We're getting signs, giving them to every polling location to put on the door to explain what's going on and that they can call us. I expect a high volume of people still coming in the office on May 19th, likely for registration. And we'll have those 6 queues that we have up front available for registration, and then we'll be entering those absentee requests as people come in too, and try to get that batch out the next day from there. But it's going very well. I think we've gotten a system down to try to keep up with the paper and then the online applications.
Okay, so you're able to practice social distancing even with the folks?
I would say it's harder to do because you're constantly touching. We do have people wearing gloves that choose to wear gloves, and also some people that wear masks. But we are constantly touching paper and counting big ballots too. We practice this at the desk when we can, but it's sometimes complicated with the amount of work that we have to do touching them.
Right, but it's the same group of people, and you guys know, I mean, they, excuse me, know if they're sick or not.
Yes, and we're all, observing how we're doing, and then also just staying at home too.
Are your folks wearing masks, or is it up to the individual?
It's up to the individual. There are some people that are choosing, we have available gloves, and some choose to wear masks too.
Okay. How does the volume look?
I'm sorry.
Ballot requests?
It's just a matter of batches, how they come in. So I think the Secretary of State just did another second mailer with the absentee application attached to anyone that hasn't requested an absentee yet. So I expect that to hit this weekend, or excuse me, this week. And then the online ones, I would say we processed, I'm just thinking this is a rough estimate, probably close to 10,000. So the online application is working really well. And actually, it's easier to process for us than the actual paper.
How many have you received back? Are you receiving a decent number of?
So as of Friday, we had received 2,700. Monday, they scanned in probably another 400. So over 3,000 at this point.
Or over 3,000
That we
have,
received back.
Turned them in.
meaning have voted?
Yes.
That's interesting, because you sent out over 20,000 ballots.
Yes, many times people wait to the last minute to vote, and they wait for information to come in from the candidates.
Okay. Interesting, okay. Yes, sir?
With the Supreme Court's order now that everybody in the courts have to be wearing a mask as of May 1st, are you guys supplied well enough for that?
I don't know. I need to talk to Marissa, because Marissa had a discussion about them putting up some, I think, what we have in the quarter, the clear glass or COVID
Yeah,
stuff.
I think reading that order, they still have to have masks.
Okay, I do need to check with Marissa and then Judge Christensen to see what's going on over there with the mask.
I know that Carlene came into the EOC the other day, got a bunch of masks for the judges and whatnot, but I hadn't heard anything from your
Yeah, go right ahead, Barry.
I had a conference call with the judge yesterday, and you should double check it, but my strong impression is that as long as you're not using a public entrance, you're not gonna be required to have a mask on. And so, you know, my recall of Judge Christensen's position was, it's not our job to tell you what to do with your employees, but if you're coming into public access and you don't have a mask, you're probably gonna get turned away. So that goes for anybody that, even a county employee, I think, you just need to be prepared for that. I know not everybody has access to the non-public door.
Okay.
That it, Jen?
For now, yes, like I said, we've been trying to operate with the crew we have and utilize when people had that skeleton crew going at district court, try to bring them over and help, so that's been a huge help over at elections, and just keeping our spirits high too as we try to continue on here.
Okay, so the deadline for receipt of the ballots is June 2nd?
Yes, at 8 PM.
Okay, do you expect that you'll actually have a total that night?
I think so, we'll start running those absentees. We will not start running until June 2nd, we'll have our logic and accuracy test on Monday, and then start running them, so I can't say exactly what time, but our goal is to have them on June 2nd.
Okay, cool.
So they can't be postmarked June 2nd, they have to be
No.
received.
No, they have to be received, so
Okay.
as we always encourage too, that people can drop off, we'll put that on the polling locations of people that come in on election day for May 19th, that they do have to be in the office by 8 PM on June 2nd.
Got it. Thank you, appreciate it. Barry?
Actually, the most of what I had to share was just that the court issued a new order. Jury trials are pushed off till the first part of August.
Wow.
And so that's going to back up a lot of cases, obviously. They did unrestrict our ability to hold hearings on individuals who are not in custody. It was changed from what we were doing before. So we've been talking in the magistrate judge's meeting today about having preliminary hearings and other types of motions and matters in court for individuals not in custody. The focus before was on people who were in custody that needed to have those hearings, whether it was a preliminary hearing or a bond hearing or things that, relate to their incarceration, basically. And so we're hoping that will alleviate in some regard the backlog of, matters that are just backing up badly right now. And civil trials were pushed off till, I want to say, October.
Wow.
So it's still some pretty, extreme action that's being taken place. Obviously, that can change, but that was the latest order. And we're doing a lot by Zoom hearings. There's a very few types of hearings that are required by law to be in-person felony sentencing, termination cases. But judges have been, pretty good about trying the Zoom hearings, which can be a challenge, especially when they're evidentiary hearings. And we certainly had, some disagreement about whether they are very effective or not, or, effective in the way that defense counsel might like them to be. But, this is a brand new week, and the judges are still sorting it out. Judge Christensen has left a lot of discretion in the hands of the various judges. So we may have hopefully it'll be consistent, but that's yet to be seen.
Interesting. So when you talk about civil trials out to October, or even the jury trials week 1 August, I imagine it's anticipated that social distancing will have ended by then, or at least by August.
I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah.
I think that it's best guess, that maybe things will be alleviated at that point, but, who really knows?
Yeah, we don't know. That's true. Okay, thank you.
How about civil? Do you anticipate civil coming back to the office?
We haven't had that discussion yet. We're actually meeting today, I guess the folks in my management, the prosecutor's office, specifically civil and criminal. So we'll talk about that. If you have any input, we'd be happy to take it, I guess. If there's any issues regarding communication with the attorneys, there shouldn't be. If there is, that's something I would want to address.
I'm just spoiled. I just like to go knock on their doors. But, yeah, I mean, it's been working out fine. I haven't had any trouble getting a hold of anyone. But if they, if you guys decide it's time to come back, we're fine with it. So we'll probably keep our separate entrance for a while, maybe through stage 1, and then, open things up a little bit. But I think it's a dual thing with our separate entrance is the fact that our ladies are all open cubicle, and so the constant in and out of different departments is a little distracting, so, but we can work that out. So.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff, KCSO.
Well, we're going to start doing appointments, both for driver's license and CCWs. We've been doing some on-needed basis or as-needed basis for healthcare workers who retired but are coming back into the workforce where they have to be fingerprinted. And we've only done a few of those, but they've contacted us so they get those fingerprints, they get their backgrounds done so they can go back into the workforce if necessary. Other than that, we've got some people still working from home, and some of those are more vulnerable. One in particular just had a baby, so she's working from home. And cranking out a lot of work too. I can't imagine her cranking people and cranking out the work. But we still have one off that is just finished chemo, and obviously can't work from home. She's a petroleum operator, and just because of her compromised immune system, told her when her doctor says she can come back, she's welcome back.
But I think that would be even if COVID wasn't around. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if it was, if we had major flu issues or things
Yeah.
like that, she'd originally been cleared to come back to work until the COVID thing came, and then her doctor was like, this is not a good idea. And
Yeah.
we agreed. And so she's still off. Obviously, patrol and jail are working. They're going through a lot of PPEs, right now. Just picked themselves. Today, I have 6 people in isolation in the jail. Just pending to see if they're need to be tested, but they're in isolation because they did claim to have been exposed to people who tested positive, or they've come from the more vulnerable areas, mostly out of Washington. And so those folks are all in isolation. We're working with Barry's office and with the courts on doing a lot of telecourt, and so that seems to have worked out fairly well. I mean, making the best of what we can with that. It's been a little bit of a challenge space-wise and technology-wise, but it's working out. So, other than that, we keep marching on.
Yeah, go ahead, Barry.
Just a question. One of the things that addressing what Ben was just talking about, is it would really be helpful if there were a couple laptops that could be utilized. Jail has some common areas where, defendants could be, or inmates could be, in a room with a computer, so that they can participate from there. And Zoom meetings would be a little bit more workable. And I guess the question is, what funding may be available, since it is related to the virus, in terms of, these kinds of hearings?
I would think you would just make your request, and it would just be coded under COVID expense.
Yeah.
It's just going to come out of fund balance until we get reimbursed, 1 to 2 to 3 years from now.
Dina, I saw you nodding. You want to chip in? Absolutely correct. Oh, okay. Good enough. So coded for COVID. Yep, okay, good. Dr. Keene? You there?
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I had to turn the mute off.
Oh, okay.
The coroner's office is doing very well with teleworking with one individual in the office at a time. We're still delayed into getting into our new offices. We have to comply with some fire code regulations that I'm not sure about. Otherwise, all of our work is up to date and current, and as we work through these phases, we'll be able to move more people back into the office. So we're keeping up with everything. We have had some difficulties with our pathologists in Spokane. Initially, we had to provide all the PPE for any detectives that were going to go to the autopsies. Yesterday, they said nobody could come unless it was a known homicide. I mean, that's what we use the autopsy for, is to get the evidence of a possible homicide. So we're working through those kinks, but otherwise, our day-to-day operations are doing very well.
Okay, appreciate it. Sheriff Wolfinger, I had a question. How do you manage detention in a time like this?
How do we manage what?
Detention.
Well, our numbers are actually very low, and actually crime is overall down. I mean, our calls for service are down, so that helps. Our numbers today were at 261,
Wow.
which is extremely low. We basically dropped, between 100 and 175 or 150 inmates in the last 6 weeks. That allows us to use different laws for isolation. As people come in, we can isolate a group of folks and give them, if they're going to be staying, give them time to show if they have any symptoms that come out. Those, like I said earlier, that if we have suspects who are suspicious that they may have been exposed, or if they're displaying any sort of symptoms, then they go into a medical isolation unit. And so we're doing that. The guys are very diligent about wearing masks. The employees wearing masks and gloves. Gloves are a common thing anyway, but a lot more masks. We're going through a lot more hand sanitizer, things of that nature. I think yesterday we went through 80 ounces of hand sanitizer. You think about it, that's a lot of hand sanitizer. It's the jail. We also went through about 130 pairs of gloves. And that's okay. They're keeping themselves safe.
So are you able to even practice social distancing with inmates?
Not
Not
entirely.
really.
No, not entirely. I mean, we still have 50-bed pods, and we still have day rooms, but the medical staff has done a phenomenal job of screening people coming in there and keeping on top of it. When somebody comes to jail, and we're only booking 8 or 10 a day instead of 30 or 40, they're literally meeting the car in the Sally Port and assessing that inmate before they get out of the car, and decide whether or not they need to wear a mask before they get out of the car. And we're processing right from there. That's probably the biggest thing for us to prevent COVID spreading to jails. That first assessment, and if they're super symptomatic, they go to the hospital first. And so that's been a big help as well. The other thing is, early on, we were able to get some tests from the hospital for the jail. We convinced the hospital they really didn't want us bringing anybody who might be symptomatic from the jail to the hospital to get tested. So our staff has been doing some of those tests. Knock on wood, fortunately, we haven't had a positive yet in the jail. So we're just going to try to keep that.
Okay. Anyone else?
The EOC, I imagine it'll be up and running until all the stages are done at least.
To some extent, and Chris and I we had quite a conversation yesterday with staff about scaling it back after this week. We're going to see how things go into this first phase. The thing the courts threw at us certainly is going to keep logistics up a little bit more. If we're going to be providing masks and whatnot for Barry's office, the public defender, and courts and things like that. Logistics will have to continue to work with that. We're starting to see some of the supply chain come back. There was such a run on masks of any kind to start with. We're now starting to see the supply chain come back. It was when available. Now it's at least we have a date usually 3 or 4 weeks out that we can get supplies in. So it's starting to come back. We'll have to see how that moves. And it will kind of depend on what happens in this first phase. If we suddenly see a spike in cases, the governor could go back and say, okay, we're going to stop here and go back to where we were before stage 1. So, we'll kind of see where we're at in these first 2 weeks. I think that's going to be real telltale. I know that we have one case, or one family, we have 9 positive cases out of one family in the county, and they all got together for Easter dinner. One person had it and it spread it to the rest of the family.
But none of them are in the hospital.
None of them are in the hospital, but in the hospital, as of today, has nobody, no positive COVID cases in But I mean, that social distancing is so important, and so we just want to make sure that we don't get a spike. One person can affect a lot of people. So, we'll be very cautious of that. But yeah, we're gonna discuss it probably Friday or Monday and see if we can start scaling back a little bit more. We're still getting quite a few calls from the citizen inquiry line, and we'll continue to staff that just to help the people navigate through it. I think that's the right thing to do.
So currently, you're on a 3-day week.
Yeah, we're on a 3-day week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that seems to be working. It also coincides with what the state's doing as far as meetings and our meetings with the hospital and the health district, and so that seems to work out very well.
Okay, cool. Anyone else? Leslie, you want to comment on any of our organizations?
I just can't wait to get back to providing service to the county.
I think we're all in that mode.
So for the most part, roughly 15 departments that report to the VOCC, again, very much like what you're doing. Some of the staff working from home, some are present. Among our immediate staff, people are rotating. Chandra does some at home. Leanna, the same thing. Terry's been in pretty much on a daily basis. Nancy Jones does some work from home. Nancy Pluff has been working largely from home. The different departments have been implementing social distancing, as they see fit within their respective departments. As I speak, I'm looking at Stephen Kiergaard's plan here for the airport. It's interesting. He says the airport will also implement procedures to space out arrival and departures of staff to ensure limited contact. Airport office will also still remain by appointment only. This is due to most of our clients being in the high-risk category for COVID-19. By that, I assume he means older. This will remain in place until such time as most restrictions are lifted. And anyway, so that's pretty much the situation with BOCC. Community development, which, as you know, has a lot of customer interaction. Most of the folks are working from home. David Callahan has been here pretty much on a daily basis. And as challenging as it's been, they've managed quite well. In case you're not aware, our total number of permits from fiscal 19 to this point, fiscal 20 are up 30, actually over 30, like 33%, from 1,800 to 2,400. Their revenues are up as well. And despite the increase in the workload and the restrictions from COVID, they're able to operate. But that's pretty much the highlights as far as BOCC is concerned. Yes, sir, Barry.
Does the board have any sense for whether there's going to be a downturn in, tax collections, and is that going to have any impact on our budget for the rest of this fiscal year or even into next year? Is there any projections in that regard?
Steve, I'd have to defer to you on this one.
Having tried to hazard a guess, some counties have actually gone through the exercise. I'm not sure what the input would be.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Kootenai County, from a cash position, will not be significantly hurt, even if there is somewhat of a delay in the collection. As you know, we will get the money, which might take us a couple of years. So, no, we haven't estimated. I don't know how to do that, but the county is, from a cash position, solid. Will it impact the budget? Well, throw that back to you guys. I don't know.
We'll know more on Friday. So I think the projections for revenue in FY21 are down significantly, so our reliance on property tax portion is going to be higher.
Yeah, it's too soon to tell at this point. In the past, the $1.5 million that we've been receiving between general fund disbursement and was it liquor sales from the state, I don't know, potentially that could be impacted. But to Barry's question on a related note, yesterday we took up the question, Barry, of forgiveness, blanket forgiveness of penalties and interest for late payments, and we decided we're going to continue the practice as was recommended by one of your civil prosecutors, Dave Ferguson, which is case-by-case basis hardship, which is how the law reads today, and that's what was decided yesterday. Anything else? Oh, by the way, public hearings, in case you're interested. We have our first public hearing scheduled for May 19th, and that deals with waterways, Spokane River in particular, a proposed ordinance that ordinance that we have passed as a BOCC and will take forward. And so what I've been doing is encouraging the people who are interested in participating to try to designate somebody to speak for a group of 10 or more so that we're not flooded. Again, as we're currently configured, we can handle about 24 people plus a few folks up at the dais. But as long as social distancing is in effect, and I don't know if it still will be, likely it will be then, we're going to be limited.
Based on the 4 stations.
It will be, okay. And so, thank you. So we're going to encourage that, plus participation via Zoom. And David has been working with that, David Callahan, so that he can act as the administrator, see everybody who's participating, and be able to manage it. So that'll be our first test case of a large group type situation. Other than that, I have nothing further to add. Bill?
Nope, I don't have anything at all. It sounds like things are well thought out moving forward.
Leslie, you're okay?
Yep.
Anything else? Public comment? None? 9:36, meeting adjourned, thanks.